what's up? I'm Andrew Bacon.
I'm Beck Bacon.
And as you can see, my son has a ton of wooden Thomas trains, right? So we needed a way to store these things. Well, I saw these racks that you hang on the wall, like you see here, for like $100 online. I was like, no way. So I went to the big box store. I bought a couple cedar boards. I cut them down, and I made this for like less than $15. And I'd love to show you how I did it on this episode of
Field Treasure Design.
So yeah, like I said, these are just cedar fence boards from the big box store. And I started by ripping them down to the same width as a normal wooden train track. Next, I cut the shelves on my miter saw. I stacked them up pretty high to be able to cut them at the same time, and so it wasn't always the easiest, but we got that done. And then after I cut the shelves, I cut the two side parts as well. Those are going to be used to hang the shelves and attach the shelves to each side. After that, I laid out all the pieces to see how the shelf looks and if I got the measurements right. And yeah, so far so good. Next, I wanted to cut little grooves to mimic the train tracks so that the trains could stay put and kind of slide along and they wouldn't fall off the shelf. So I'm going to cut little through dados using my table saw. And so I used the existing train track to kind of measure the distance and got everything all measured up. And then I also used it to set the depth as well. You can see the piece kind of sliding down as I adjust the blade depth. Okay, I've got the measurements all good, and so it's time to run my first through dado. And so I'm gonna have to do this a couple of times to make sure I get that wide dado. And so I'll cut, one time, and then I'll move the guard a little bit closer, and I'll make that little space a little bit wider. So yeah, this is just a matter of running it over the table saw and making that cut. Next, I have to move the blade a little bit more to widen that dado channel. And so here I'm just making sure it's a little bit moved to the left, and then we're going to repeat that process, which will widen that channel. Now a quick compare to see if the channel's wide enough. And yeah, it looks good. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Okay, I've gotten one other cut done now on the other side. Now I'm going to widen that channel to make both sides equal. So this is like the fourth cut total on the board, and I grabbed a little flathead screwdriver to kind of smooth out those trenches there, those little dados. And so now that I've got it kind of smoothed out, I want to grab a train and kind of see how it looks. Sweet. Yes, this is exactly what I was hoping for. Now that I'm sure the measurement's good, I was able to cut the rest of the dado channels along the shelf boards. And so, yeah, once I got all that done, I realized that I was a little bit wider than I wanted to be with the shelf. So I just trimmed a little edge off of each shelf. Then to match the width, I trimmed the two side brackets as well. Once I was done cutting, I grabbed my flat-handled screwdriver I used earlier to kind of clean out those channels. I also alternated with some sandpaper just to smooth them out. And yeah, it worked out really well. Then, of course, it was time to sand them. So yeah, this is always our favorite part. But yeah, just use my random orbital sander just to really smooth them out and make them nice to the touch. Then I cut a spacing block on my miter saw that I can use to space each shelf and make it really easy so I don't have to measure every time. Now it's assembly time. So I've got everything ready to go. I'm going to use some wood glue before I nail them together. And then to secure the first board, I grabbed a framer square just to make sure things were nice and square. And then, yeah, put two nails in and we are good to go. Then flip it over and do the other side. I then laid out the remaining shelves just to kind of make sure my spacing was right. And so after a dry test fit, yeah, it's all looking good. And I think the spacing is just right. So now it's just a matter of gluing them and nailing them. So yeah, I just worked my way down, putting some wood glue on and then popping in a couple nails. And boom, done. Yeah, it feels really stable. I like it. Next, I mounted the hanging hardware on each side slat. So super easy, just little screws went in on each side, and it doesn't need anything that robust to hang on the wall. Then I wanted to show my son real quick here in the garage.
Right, here buddy, check it out. Yeah, we're on camera. So yeah, try it out real quick before we put it in the room. Just enough room, huh?
Awesome. Now we can take it to the room and fill her up. So yeah, this thing is awesome. I can't believe how cheap it was and how easy it was to build. And yeah, it gets all those trains off the floor and out of bins. And yeah, my son loves to stack them up and rearrange them and play with them. And so yeah, anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. See ya.